Leading our second live problem-solving session, here is Michelle Walker of STL Buy and Sell Realtors, Raj Qsar of the Boutique RE, and Sarah Richardson of Tru Realty.
So my name is Tom McCormick. I co-own, along with Carolyn Diacon, Resources Real Estate. In Monmouth County, New Jersey, we have 4 offices, about 80 agents. We are right commuting distance to Manhattan, but still at the very beginning of the shoreline, so we have kind of the best of both worlds. So we have a situation, I'm sure a lot of you can share this. We have agents who say, I want leads. So we buy them leads. We buy them hundreds of leads. And then they say, oh my God, there's so many leads. How do I keep track of these? So we gave them CRM to help them do that. Then they said there's too much paperwork, so we created a paperless transaction management system. Then they said, oh, this is just too much, simplify. So we combined everything so that it was essentially within 2 platforms. So despite all that, we have agents who fail to follow up on leads, fail to document and log their activity with the leads, can't seem to submit the digital file or even the hard copy file so that it can be scanned into the paperless system. And just seem to not be able to get it together. So my question is, carrot or stick? Do you beat them? Do you threaten them? Beat them with a carrot, or is it reward? What's the best way to get agents to adopt and to take ownership of something that is clearly to their benefit and will help their productivity?
So just quick, before you answer, if you could just say your name again, your brokerage again, just a little bit so we can get some reference points.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Raj Qsar, and I am CEO and owner of the Boutique Real Estate Group in Orange County, California. We literally are a boutique real estate firm with about 40 agents, 2 offices. And when I got this question, I literally started crying because it's basically what we deal with.
I have that effect on people.
And the email was like this long that came from Katie at Inman. It was like, I was like, oh my God, I have to answer that. But I've got support, so this should be fun.
Yeah, we're in this together.
Yeah.
My name is Sarah Richardson. I'm the founder and CEO of Tru Realty. We're based in Scottsdale, Arizona. We consider ourselves tech-enabled, so I was really excited to be talking about a little bit about technology today and passing it on.
Michelle Walker. I'm a broker owner, STL Buy and Sell in St. Louis. We just achieved the status of the largest independent brokerage in our county. So that's pretty exciting. I've got about 45 agents and 2 offices.
I don't think we really have like a problem with technology. I think technology is enabled us to do a lot of stuff. Like you said, you're a tech-enabled brokerage. I think kind of the issue is the people. So honestly, it really is. And so one of the things we chatted about in the back of the room is, you said you're getting hundreds of leads. Like, I would freak out if we got hundreds and hundreds of leads, right? I don't know about you guys, but you get a lead and it's like, I get off the dining room table with my family. I'm like, oh my God, let's do this, right? And so there's a few things that I think could happen that would maybe help nurture and engage those leads before you actually hand them off to your agent. So the first thing would be like an in-house ISA. Does anyone have an in-house ISA? If you see a few hands, I think that would be a great thing. So you're not giving them a name and an email address and a phone number. You're actually saying, this is Susie. She'd like to buy a house in Newport Beach. Her price point's $2 million. She's been pre-approved. Oh, by the way, she'd like to get in the car this weekend and have a look. I mean, that gets my attention as an agent way more than here's an email and a phone number, right? So I think that'd be a great first step to help your agents out in regards to conversion. I'll pass that.
Regarding the carrot and the stick, I think it really depends on the technology, and I think it depends on the systems you're using. For us, our CRM is really robust, and I can see people's reaction time to leads. I mean, we do have an ISA that that touches them as well as touching the agent first. But you can see how fast they're reacting. You can see how they're engaging. If they're more email, if they're more video, if they're more text, if they're more call is king, as we all know. But I think it's really cool to be able to have those key metrics so you know who's reacting to what. And then maybe you can pull them aside and say, hey, you know, I'm really noticing you're not making the necessary calls. We probably need to figure that out and, you know, really kind of encourage them. So I think with the CRM on my side, it's more of an encouragement than it is a stick. But with the transaction management, as the designated broker, I mean, I have 10 days to approve a document before, you know, just in case I get audited. So if somebody's late in the system, I do have a fine. And I do give a couple warnings, but I mean, if you're not in the system and I get audited, then we're all gonna have a fine in our hands. So that's kind of where I have my stick.
Can I interject? I'm not supposed to be talking, but do they get thrown out? Because the key question here is, we talked about people, and there's a lot of this conversation about technology and people, and we're in that little, you know, we're just starting with our first robots, so we're starting to really kind of maybe make people be technology. But the piece is, will you throw them out of the program? Because it's around standards. Yes. So so what's the fine? Is it like $20? Is it $200? And then if they get like 3 fines, are they out?
Yeah, I've only had to fine one person 3 times, and it's a $100 fine if they're late after 5 days. And this is only for the transaction management side. For the CRM side, it's more of a performance review. And so, you know, we'll meet after the first quarter and say, look, I don't think this is working for you. Internet leads may not be your way of doing business. I think that you could probably still use the CRM portion and use the technology, but I'm not personally going to be paying for leads that filter into your CRM. I think that we should probably focus on other things like open houses and your sphere.
And can I ask another question? Are there any standards to get in the program, or is everyone invited, even in yours? Is everyone allowed to do them?
We have minimal, in my opinion, minimal requirements, which is they have to sit. We don't have regular floor time, but on the weekends, because of our locations, for walk-ins, we want to make sure that people are there. And so if you sit for opportunity time in the previous month, then you qualify for the round robin and the leads the following month.
Okay. And then Michelle?
Sorry, we have to share the mic. So I look at it a little bit differently, because I think when we are telling agents that they must do things, we're walking a fine line of them being employees. So I look at lead generation as sort of a cost of doing business. I do like to keep track of who's doing what to make sure that I've got things weighted in a way that the agents that are doing the best with the leads are going to get more leads than the other agents. I use a platform that allows me to do that, like you were saying, very robust, so I can see who's doing what, but I try to be very careful about requiring them to do things. We don't do floor duty. I didn't even realize people still did that. We actually broadcast all of the phone calls that are not the 9 to 5 when we've got someone answering the phone in the office. We actually broadcast to the agents. The first one that picks it up gets it, and they like that.
We have the opportunity time mainly because we do get walk-ins to our locations, and we'll have people walk out when there's not an agent who's actually there. I think the difficulty for us is agents are always looking for an excuse to say, well, if only we had this, and we keep saying, okay, here you go, and oh, if we only had this, and it reaches a point of, do we just disconnect everything? And if it's not going to make any difference, if nobody's going to go along with it, then why even be paying for it and having it?
So I want to speak to that a little bit. Again, a cost of doing business. Happy agents bring happy agents. Every broker out there is going to tell these agents they're going to provide them leads. Most brokers do not provide leads to their agents. And if they do, then it's, you know, you come in every week and you have to follow these guidelines and this is what you must do. Maybe if you just keep giving them the leads, don't give them hundreds. That's probably a little more than those agents can manage, it sounds like. But we do about 150 leads a month, and there's about 8 agents that are in there, so it's not huge. But then they get access to the CRM. They're able to manage everything. Yeah, it's easier not to totally.
But again, what are you worried about too, though? I mean, are you worried because it sounds like you're enabling them? a little bit.
Mama bear.
Is this a 12 step?
Just to look, it is. Actually, we tricked you.
Okay.
Everyone, it's an intervention.
My name is Tom.
You were going to say something,
I
but it
was gonna
does
say,
sound like
well,
they don't
Hi,
maybe want them.
Tom.
Yeah, well, we just took the transaction management issue off the plate of the agent. So we manage all that in-house for our agents. So they don't have to worry about a single thing. From the time the listing packet within zip forms is created for our agents to the time it's handed to our broker for review, there's nothing that an agent really has to do except maybe type up an offer or the finites of an offer or a counter. That's all they really have to do. So that piece got taken off the platform
So is everything digital start to finish?
So DocuSign and DocuSign Transaction Rooms is our platform for agents, and they're required to have that when they join the brokerage. And then the second piece, I think that initial touch as well. If you're getting hundreds of leads, I don't know if everyone reacts differently. Like you said, phone call, email, text. It just depends. It could be social, but for us, it's a texting app that starts off the initial conversation, and we have 50% response rate off a texting app within the first 2 minutes. 50%. The 50% that do not respond, 25% didn't provide a cell number, and 25% provided a wrong number. Okay, so 50% engagement. Can you imagine that on 100 leads? So when that comes in, there's a conversation that's happening through text, right? And that's been amazing for us, first of all. And then our ISA takes it over and engages that lead. So if it's a buyer, they get dripped into our listing alert software. They get introduced to a lender to get pre-qualified. If it's a seller, we're trying to get that appointment where we could be at the kitchen table with them. That's the whole point. We want to be there because if we're there, we won't lose.
So, Raj, I'm hearing, though, ISA is key. Do any of you have ISA as well?
Yes, we do.
And do you? No. Okay. Well,
Yeah, there you go.
one thing.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
And is your ISA, are they agents? They must be licensed
In-house.
or in-house?
Actually, no, ours is a lender partner that handles it, so we just reinforce the relationship, and so they're working on the pre-qual while we're working on the buyer presentation. All of our leads are buyer leads. Another thing I wanted to say is adoption rates are tough. I mean, anytime you're introducing a new technology and you have, as the leader, you have to be using it full time. Because if you're not using it full time, they're not using it full time. But everybody has a different learning curve with technology too. And so it's just certain people you have to work with more than others to get them all on the same page. Is anybody else using Slack with their agents? Because that's a really great tool for in-house
Yeah, we're
communication.
using Slack as well, right?
Can I interject? How many years have you had your brokerages?
I opened my brokerage in 2006.
Okay. And
2010.
And Raj's?
13.
And when was yours?
Carolyn started in 2000, and I became her partner in 2010.
Okay.
So I use DocuSign Transaction Rooms and Zip Forms. They work very well together. And one of the things that we try and do is technology is scary for some agents. I think in my market, I've got a fairly young office, but I do have some older agents that just struggle. So we try to meet them where they are. I have one agent that, we keep her as far away from technology as possible. She tripped over her iPad cord and broke her hip. So we meet them where they are.
She's not tech enabled.
She is definitely not tech enabled. So she turns in her paper files, and then my office person will put them into the system for her. So we try to give the agents every opportunity. I like the fine. I think that is a fantastic idea.
Well, I think what's been amazing over the last few years is this integration of APIs. So just about everything is talking to each other. So our website's actually talking to Slack now. Mm-hmm. So when a lead comes in through our website, it gets dropped into Slack. So we're absolutely right there. And I think it's important so agents could see the flow. So it's really fun sometimes to go, okay, this is Zillow. This is how the lead comes in. This is where it goes next. Okay, then after that it goes here. And then after that it goes here. And then we are talking to them. And then guess what? Here's a silver platter, and here's a buyer lead for $1 million. Now, go sell them a house, Yeah. And everything is there, and you could see everything in the CRM now, where the lead came from, who's been chatting with the lead, any notes that have been left there, if they get dropped into a program, so to speak, like a drip program, like where they are in that program. So I think that's different than it was 5 or 6 or 10 years ago, where we just thought technology was awesome, and we couldn't even upload contacts into a CRM. Make sense?
The question, though, too, about Sphere, because how many of you in the room are working mostly with Sphere? Like, if Sphere was the basis of your, that's it? Like, really raise your hands. Like, 'cause
hard to see.
Okay, all right. So, and then the rest I would assume are like focusing on technology. Like you are getting you're paying for leads, or you're playing in the digital world, because it's a different. So, like one of the things I think it's important to address here is getting them from Sphere, which is showing up still, but then starting to like add this probiotic to their diet and being like every day you got to take it. That it's tough making that transition.
It is tough. So I was.
She was gonna say,
I wanted to really couple off with Raj was saying about the API connection. And when you have your technology speaking with one another, and that's what we do with our brokerage, is our CRM communicates with our transaction management software, communicates with our financing software. So the client information is passed through all of our platforms. So there's not a lot of uploading. The agents don't have to manually do these processes, which creates less overhead for us, but less work for them. So it just makes things so much more seamlessly when you have these direct APIs. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, and I love that. And when the lead does get to the agents, like, this is Susie. She's a physician at this hospital. She wants to be close to a country club for her kiddos. You know, like, you get to that granular level now, and now it's just not a name and an email address. It's a person. It's a real-life human being who has likes and hobbies and wants to be close to Whole Foods and wants to be close to Orange Theory. Like, they want this stuff, and that agent knows. That's much more of an intimate lead. It's more, say, romantic than just a name and an email address. So I think that's kind of where we are.
Okay, sorry, I was off
To me, that's more like a referral. A lead
and
is
that's
something
why-
raw that they have to make something of it. With Commissions Inc., we actually get numbers. They check the emails. They tell us if it's a real phone number. And a lot of the follow-up will happen automatically just based upon how we've set that up.
One thing too, though, hearing the systems, because Brian brought it up earlier that the systems, like you get the tech, but your technology is working very well because you're building those systems. One of the things I think they're asking you to do is build the systems, which you're doing, but I think it's putting the ISA in there, and then possibly taking all of that and reading into it and making sure it's linking so that they don't have to do the work, and then giving it back to them so it looks like a human.
Yeah, it's I had a good friend to me say, like, doing this lead gen and lead nurturing engagement is like your grandma's secret recipe. All the ingredients have to be there for it to convert. So, right? So, like, I'll try to make my grandma's secret recipe, and it'll be horrible. But when my grandma makes it, it's absolutely beautiful. And that's the thing. That's where we are now. It's 2018, and that's where we have to be, and that's what our agents expect of us. It can't be a name and an email address anymore.
I think from listening to you, and thank you all, because it's very helpful. I'm going on to my second step now. But our systems do speak to each other. They are kind of built into each other to communicate and to simplify it. I think the tricky part is getting agents who have been accustomed to one way of doing things. And let's face it, if they're productive, they're busy people, and they don't really want to take the time to learn a new system. And we do tons and tons of training, and we have support staff helping them, but trying to get them over that, that hump that just says, okay, I'm going to commit, I'm going to make this work because I know it's going to actually help my business. That's the part that I feel really stuck on.
Yeah, but I think there's agents are different. Some are social, and they want to do events and do open houses and meet people in real life. Some agents are totally behind the desk and doing digital, right? And they're really, really good at that. And then there's door knockers, and there's people who make phone calls. Like, everyone's just a little bit different. So maybe I would have, like, ours is called the Matchmaker Lead Program. So maybe the ones that get the digital leads are the ones that are really good at it, and the ones that aren't are not. One of our top agents hasn't logged into her CRM in a year and a half, but she's one of our top agents, right. And that's what she does. She's referral and networking. That's her thing.
So we have 2 seconds to wrap it up. Last point on it that you'd give Tom to go to his third step.
Beat them over the head with the carrot, entice them, and encourage them to use the systems, but also look at it as a cost of doing business. Yeah. It's keeping the agents happy, and happy agents bring more happy agents.
I think we touched on it mostly. I didn't have one.
Yeah, I mean, it's about $200 a lead, so that's kind of how I think of it. So I'm telling an agent, it cost me $200 to get this lead in front of you, and that's just the digital cost. That's not employee, ISA, right. CRM, any technology involved. So could you please,
convert it.
Here you go.
Convert it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.